Shaitanirajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. I'm your host Achara Sati and joining me is my wonderful co-host who happens to be Fahim Bangesh. Assalamu alaikum Fahim, and how are you doing on this hot morning in Islamabad?
Walaikum assalam, and it's good to hear. How are you doing on this particular lovely morning? Because it's not a lovely morning weather-wise. Otherwise it is, obviously. We should never call the mornings bad mornings. Just the weather is hot, I agree. So yeah, it's still, it's very good. The internal weather is very good and the external weather is not, but we're getting along with it, trying for them to get along with each other. But anyway, Hajra, I'm pretty excited about today's program. Can you answer me why?
Yeah, I think because now we have brought upon someone and a guest, a worthy guest who has a very intense and an intellectual in-depth insight into the particularly the situation of the country, and we are going to further develop the conversation. And he is an expert in this field, not just academically but also practically. He's been working in the field and he can illuminate and provide his in-depth insights into the situation, particularly when we talk about the economic situation of the country. And I think we need to have these sort of discussions when we talk about SDGs, when we talk about the sustainable reform, sustainable growth, that too in a manner that it should be able to provide for the bustling population while at the same time preserving our resources. And also when we talk about sustainable growth, sustainable development, we also need to factor in the public-private partnership, because this is very much important aspect into it. And
interestingly, Hajra, we have been hearing this term public-private partnership, but we've never actually gone in depth and detail of this particular terminology. And today we thought of delving deep into it and, of course, keeping in mind all the problems that the country is going through. So yes, without further ado, I think we must introduce our guest for today. We have with us Mr. Salman Kaisrani Saab. He happens to be a technical and motivational speaker. He has had very good positions, key positions in the oil sector and transport sector, and we will be talking to him in depth. Kaisrani Saab, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to World This Morning.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Right, and we are really glad that you have joined us with your in-depth and insightful discussion and analysis of what is going on within our country, and specifically when we talk about the economic reforms. So particularly when we talk about the economic reforms, this term, this notion, a lot has been written on it. Academically, there have been discussions going on. In the popular discussion, in the popular discourses, there have been a lot of conversations. But being someone who is associated with the economics of the country, and you are particularly a businessman, so how do you see the economic situation of the country developing, and what are your insights, and where are the gaps that you feel that needs to be filled in?
Hajra, I think the crunch and the brief of your question is resolving Pakistan's economic crunch.
Yeah.
And that is the cornerstone of your question. We have to strategically look into the aspect in the context of global economic growth. During the fiscal year 2022 and 2023, it was 4.4%. And if we look into the growth of our neighboring country, India, that was 7.2%. Whereas our nominal GDP dropped from 374 billion US dollars to 340 billion US dollars during the same tenure. This has caused a serious economic recession in the country, and that has resulted into opting for IMF loans,
right,
and to opt for laid down IMF terms and conditions. And that has resulted into massive devaluation of Pak rupees, increase in inflation, increase in interest rate, and some erratic behavior of Pakistan's stock exchange, which is unexplainable under such situations. So the answer is revamping of economic policies. That is a must.
That's true.
And it is based on three principles. Number one is avoiding depth-based investments. It's very important, because depth-based investment is not a grant, is not an aid. you have to look into the terms and conditions of this investment, and the cost of implementation of this investment is very important. And number two is guarding Pakistan's economic assets. This is also very important in the current scenario.
Right.
And number three, it must be very clear that the infrastructure requirement, infrastructure growth, agriculture growth, and service sector growth is directly proportional to public-private partnership. So the answer to your question is revamping of economic policies on these three principles.
Right, and also, sir, we are often hearing the term privatization these days. And like you said, the government-owned entities are the assets which should not be totally and completely privatized. Could you shed some light on privatization and as compared to the public-private partnership, and how can these two compare with each other? And secondly, what should be the model in Pakistan right now in the current economic situation?
Actually, Fahim, I'm not against privatization, to be very honest. My statement was to guard Pakistan's economic assets.
Right.
If they can be guarded through privatization, this can be one aspect. But I'm more supportive of corporatization and public-private partnership, because these are the first steps. If we adapt these two steps, then if they are workable, then that is the priority, because you are luring in your own investors and your international investors also in this process. But if it is not working at any stage of time, then you can go for privatization also.
Also, sir, we have heard our government representatives talking about bringing in investment or investors from different friendly countries. They've been talking to other countries' representatives as well regarding this, the finance ministers, etc. Now, is it possible that public-private partnership can perhaps enhance investment from inside the country and from outside?
Fahim, public-private partnership can not only enhance the investment, but it can also reduce the cost of investment. It's a very important point. Because in PPP, the risk of project completion, timelines, quality, and operations is on the private sector. And when the risk is mitigated, then the cost of investment is lower, on the lower side, and investors are attracted, number one. Number two, the efficiency of the private sector is very important. It enhances the value of the project.
Right.
And number three, the depth is backed by cash flows. It is not based on the credit worthiness of government organization. So it is backed by cash flows, and which are regular cash flows in public-private partnership. So you can not only enhance the investment, but you can also reduce the cost of investment.
Right, and so when we had the discussion before the show started, and you sent your very insightful and in-depth analysis of the situation of what is going on, so you particularly focused on reforming or revamping the agriculture sector and particularly working on it. And yes, Pakistan's economy is agrarian based, but nowadays it is shifting and focusing more on the service-based economy. So we've seen that, you know, there are so many people who are earning from the social media, and we've also seen within a neighboring country that how there is particularly a Silicon Valley in that particular area where they're providing their services to the US and they're earning a lot of money, right? So what is your particular insight when we talk about the service-based economy versus the agriculture? Obviously, you cannot deny the importance of agriculture and particularly the farmers who are investing in that. So how would you suggest and compare and contrast two situations?
Hajra, this is a very important and a very relevant question which you have placed. You know, for developing countries like ours, we cannot go for mega infrastructure projects right now.
Of course, of course.
We have to build success stories, and then we can move towards mega infrastructure projects. So
Taking
my
baby steps,
philosophy
perhaps.
is that we should go for small infrastructure projects, and we should concentrate on service sector. Service sector means education,
Okay.
health, IT, communication, and sustainable agriculture, valuable crops.
Okay.
The entire world, if we see the the layout of World Association for Public-Private Partnership Professionals, and the way they have expressed the PPP projects to be in line with ESG principles, that is environmental, social, and governance principle, this is the key, that you should invest the public and the private money into the service and agriculture sectors. And these are the sectors such as health, education, as I have told earlier, are still untapped. And there is very less competition. And the amount of earnings is a win-win situation for both public and the private parties.
Right, and we've also seen, particularly when you talked about the IT sector, and because it's a very interesting aspect, and particularly when we talk about the digital century, the digital era, 21st century, we've seen that YouTube, Pakistan is the fastest growing market for the YouTube, and we've seen that Google is very eager to open its offices here in Pakistan. It wants to tap into our younger population, our target audiences, which is particularly residing in Pakistan. So when you talk about the IT reforms, when you talk about revamping that sector, and we have seen without proper Silicon Valley, how much Pakistani people are particularly able to tap into that sector, right? And with a little bit of the government push, I think we will be able to do much better than we are doing right now. So what are some of the gaps that you see in the IT sector? How can they be addressed? Because there were rumors that PayPal is going to invest into the Pakistan. It is coming to Pakistan. And if PayPal comes to Pakistan, then I think the freelancing market, which is one of the biggest market in Pakistan, they are going to get benefit from that, right? So how do you suggest the reform?
Hajra, as long as you're not going to make the market conducive for the local and the international investors, whether it is IT field or any other field, you cannot tap the investors. So the best way is to make the current market conducive for investment. And to make the market conducive for investment, as I've already said, the public-private partnership is the only way.
Yes, that's
because
true.
the PSDP fundings cannot go for it.
True.
Right.
Cannot afford to go for it.
Yes, that's
That
very
is the right word. And I'm making once again a sweeping statement that public-private partnership is the only way out, whether it is service sector, it is IT sector, or it is agriculture sector, or it is infrastructure on mega scale or on smaller scale.
Now, also, Rani Saab, when we look at the youth of the country, right, we see a lot of depression, a lot of hopelessness, and they don't really see a good future for themselves when they're, we know the universities are churning out students on, biannual basis, right? But the students who are coming out, do they have enough know-how of the market, A, and B, if they don't have enough know-how, since you happen to also be a motivational speaker, are you in touch with university students to tell them exactly what the market is all about and where would the hurdles be as far as getting out of their comfort zone is concerned and making an investment is concerned in the market? Do you talk about that as well with the students?
Fahim, this is a very interesting topic as far as my motivational speaking is concerned. In Pakistan, every year 5 lakh students are graduating. They can be engineering graduates, they can be law graduates, medical graduates, English, Urdu, Arabic, Farsi, blah, blah, blah. Out of which 40% are right now jobless, in between the age of 21 to 25. And remaining who are in job, their average salary is ranging, I'm talking of average salary, 25 to 50,000. Because our mindset is to do a job after graduating. We don't have a mindset of doing our own business.
Exactly.
Whenever we talk of business, the first question comes, where is the money?
Yes.
I assure you that to start a business, money is not required. Idea is required. A conducive idea is required, which is based on the God-gifted qualities which the God has given to you. In Surah Al-Isra, it is clearly defined that every human being has been given a quality which makes him preferred and preferable over others. We spent all our lives but couldn't find the quality which God has given to us. If we correlate that quality with our business idea, sky is the limit. I can give you 101 examples. J.K. Rowling, Colonel Sanders, Steve Jobs, none of them was rich by birth. The only thing they had was an idea which they converged with their business plan, and they succeeded. I have designed specifically a psychometric test for this purpose,
Right.
which tells you how to find out that idea. It is not at all a test or a procedure to be a businessman or an entrepreneur. It is a test to find out your inbuilt quality, the idea which can be converted into a business. So that is a very interesting workshop which I have conducted in Pakistan Engineering Council, and I would be conducting it in various universities, because my target market is a graduate student, graduate in any subject, who can read Dawn newspaper and who's enthusiastic in his life, and he has no money. This is my target market, and I'll teach him how to find out his inbuilt God-gifted qualities.
You know, I particularly ask this question because I've come across different people who say either you are business-minded or you're not business-minded. And perhaps to do a business, you need to be very, very shrewd. You need to be very, very sharp. You need to be street smart. And if you're even a little bit lax, you perhaps cannot do business, or you cannot even venture into that.
Fahim, I don't agree with this.
Okay, that's
This
interesting.
is not at all a problem. The real problem, I'm again saying, is to find out your inbuilt God-gifted quality and then to correlate it with your present job also. But if you correlate it with your present job, then the top position must be your target. If you correlate it with your business, then I assure you that that inbuilt God-gifted quality will take you to the heights which you cannot even imagine right now.
Right, and sir, because of the paucity of the time, so let's quickly touch upon a very interesting aspect of your organization, which is you're working on the street children particularly, and you have particularly catered to the segment of the street children. Obviously, they're abused on the streets and they're mentally
Challenged.
Yeah, they're challenged. So why particularly, if you want to tap into the humanity sector, the human service sector, so why particularly you ventured into this area, and what sparked your enthusiasm to work for the street children?
Hajra, the street children who are mentally able, they are abused, but they survive by doing odd jobs. But the mentally challenged children, their shelf life is not more than 6 months to 11 months. And their treatment is very expensive.
I see.
In Pakistan, there is no institution where there is a medical college,
Right.
there is a teaching hospital, and a residential facility for mentally challenged homeless street children. So this is my motivation, and Salman Kastani Foundation is working on this. But whenever you talk of foundation, they say that he's asking for some donations. We don't accept donations.
Interesting.
That's lovely.
We develop our own business lines, and we develop business lines for various organizations, and whatever the profit is, it goes to the Salman Kastani Foundation.
That's amazing, sir. And it's such a pity that we're a bit pressed for time, but we tried our level best that we should touch upon each and every aspect. And perhaps in the near future, we could do a whole program regarding your suggestions to the higher authorities as far as the economic situation of the country is concerned. But for now, sir, thank you very much for joining in and making a valuable contribution to our program. And inshallah, hopefully, we will have you again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming, and we're going on a short break, and after we come back, we are going to discuss a very interesting aspect, and particularly when we talk about the younger people, because I see that particular aspect flourishing among the younger generation a lot, right? So what are the pros and cons of it, how to develop or dive deeper into that conversation? We are going to do that. Don't go anywhere. Good morning. Thank you, Jim.
Welcome back to World This Morning. I hope you got to learn a thing or two from our first segment, which was quite interesting. And definitely, we hope that one day the economic situation of the country will improve. And well, in the second segment, that's equally interesting and exciting, because we have with us a very exciting guest, because she happens to be a photographer. That's exactly the thing that Hajra was talking about before we went on a break, that we need to delve deeper into this, because we do see a lot of youth, a lot of young people getting into this. We do happen to see a lot of good pictures on social media as well. But as far as this being a profession is concerned, we will delve deeper into a conversation with Miss Masooma Zubairi, and I'm quite excited because she is my wife's namesake. So yes, Miss Masooma Zubairi, welcome to PTV World and good morning.
Good morning to you as well, and thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here.
And Masooma, so like Fahim mentioned, we've seen that particularly in the age of social media, you will find a lot of younger people, they have their own DSLRs and they are taking the photography, and we see that there are plenty of images.
Yes.
And I would say that this is a century which is a picture saturated century, because when we started with the social media, it was mostly the word dominated century. So there were lots of blogs that were coming on, and they were mostly written words, right, written blogs. But now after the Snapchat, after Instagram, I think it has totally shifted, and now it's dominated by the picture. And it is said about the picture that a picture can say 1,000 words, right? Very famous English saying, proverb. So how do you see its scope? Do you see and feel that market is getting saturated right now, and there's a lot of competition, because every other young kid I see has its own DSLR, and I think that DSLR has now been superseded in the favors of the iPhone and the very good camera qualities that it has.
I first of all, I believe that, you know, if you want to catch someone's attention, I think 1 second of clip is more than enough nowadays in social media.
True.
So if you're scrolling and you're getting one picture and that is very catchy to you, you're viral then on these all social media, because a lot of people now don't waste their time on, you know, watching 3 minutes or 4 minutes. They want only 1 second of whatever they want to watch in social media. So if you know how to attract your audience, you're viral on social media.
And I think we also need to dissect this concept of the virality, because nowadays you will find, Fahim, that things get viral a lot, right? Pictures get viral, people get viral, and that's an instant fame, instant gratification that they are getting from that virality. But as much as it is fast, it is very short-lived, because I think after 24 hours or after a few days, you know, things move on.
Maximum a few days, people move on.
And it's very difficult to sustain that virality element, right? So we've seen so many viral people. So you remember there was a chai wala. I just remember him because there was a news recently in the newspaper, right? But you know, people move on and then they forget what happened, right?
Yes.
So how do you sustain yourself in this era of virality of the pictures and social media?
Even that slogan got viral as well, party over here. So you know, it's just a matter of, again, I would say just a matter of, you know, 1 second or 2 seconds. How you are pitching that particular thing into your social media, that is very important. The aesthetic sense or to how to get your audience, right? If you're attracting the right audience, targeting the right audience, you are there on the social media, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. It will be remembered like, oh, this was a girl who got viral because of this.
Right.
So yeah, you know.
So also, Masuma, like since you said aesthetic sense,
Yes.
that's quite important, right? And photography, I think it's an art. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that fact.
Agreed.
It's a fact. So what do you call a good picture with good aesthetics? For example, I want to capture the sunsets and the sunrises.
Right.
What, I mean, you have read the angles, you have studied styles of photography. Could you shed some light on those as well?
Well, by aesthetic sense, I meant that if you have that particular mindset, if you're practicing a lot, for example, there was a picture of mine when I took when there was a practice going on of 23rd March, and there are four planes. They were going like in a very
The
high
pace is
speed.
really fast,
Yeah,
yes.
but it took me like 15 days to capture that particular picture. So if you're passionate about something, you will take wrong pictures first, and then if you think that you've taken the right one, you will be passionate to post it and get the feedback out of that.
Because she's actually right, because I've seen it on social media. Some photographers from the National Geographic or Discovery, they have taken such immaculate pictures of animals. I mean, they take your breath away, they take your heart away. They are just amazing, the moment that they have captured.
I think there are two things which I usually speak a lot about in my programs, that patience and passion. The two things are very important while pursuing something. Photography, yes, I did, but what I experienced is that patience and passion, two things.
And I think you touched a very important point, and I think Fahim also delved into it, which is aesthetics are very important when we are talking about the photography and when we talk about the picture saturated century or the social media that we are now witnessing. But I think one of the things that is important is social media has degraded the quality a lot. This is what I feel. So for example, if you analyze the slogan "Party Over," it was just a futile sort of a slogan. There was nothing in it, but that catapulted that girl to the fame, and now she is the superstar, she is the actress
Mashallah.
out there, right? So do you feel that social media has degraded the quality of the content out there, because there's stupid things that get viral a lot, and then out of nowhere we just see that there's just a degradation of discourse out there, right? So we've seen
I can't blame the social media, but I want to blame the audience, because they want to watch that. We are viral because of audience. Even if I'm posting something which is very important for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the other person. He wants to watch something fun. So if my picture is not gratifying the need of the audience, that means that I'm not going to go viral anyways. So I think some of the blame goes to audience as well.
Right.
I believe that.
Right. Also, Masuma, like you very correctly mentioned, that this requires passion and, very importantly, patience, right? But in today's world, there is an extreme dearth of patience, right?
I agree.
And often I hear Hajra saying that the attention span due to the social media has decreased a lot, right? So do you think that in today's era, people can be, I mean, a majority of people, they have very good cameras, they have very good phones, but still they cannot capture the right angles, they don't have the capacity, or they don't have enough patience. Do you think we still can produce good photographers?
With a lot of practice, I guess. But the same questions, if you're passionate and you're doing it, not getting it, and still you being very patient, that's what I'm telling, that if you practice, you can achieve good pictures. But the problem where you said that, they're very impatient to get money and everything, it's because of the culture we have in between the youngsters and the people working already on that particular field. What the youngster wants right now is that a lot of money within 2 or 3 months. No, it is not like that. It is not. You need to be patient. Out of my own experience, my first few years were like my branding, your logo, our pictures, and that's it.
Right.
So you did you got my point?
Yeah, I think you have to establish yourself
Yes.
first, and then make sure that you put the right sort of effort in that and make sure then you are catapulted to that position which you were achieving or dreaming of.
And Hajra, like she said, there's so much practice required. It's
True.
actually an art.
True.
Just like singing, just like painting, you'll make bad paintings first. You'll
True.
sing bad first. But with practice, with time, with patience, I think this is going to get better and better. Do you also teach photography?
Yes, I do.
And how do you find the students of today's era? Because I remember that when we were studying, I'm not that old still, when we were studying, we were good children, we were good students, we would listen to our teachers, right? But today, as I hear it from different people who teach these days in universities, they say the kids have become a bit difficult. Would you agree with that?
I agree, because they have a lot of sources online. So that's why, they can challenge us anyways, like,
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, but sometimes it becomes really awkward for teachers, because on the last show I was talking about that okay, fine, I'm from the old school, but the innovation and the new ideas coming from the youngsters are very innovative, and we can combine together, we can collaborate together, and we can pursue that.
Because due to that exposure, I think they're talent-wise, they're quite fertile.
Yes.
This generation, right?
True that. I
And that-
agree.
Yeah, and
I agree.
that really helps a teacher, that really helps a photographer
Yes,
get new ideas and to
I think
work
when
on.
you teach, you learn a lot. You learn your skills. You are more enhanced when you're teaching the students.
That's true, because
big-
you have to do your own research, you have to be prepared to answer any sort of a
Yes.
question,
Yeah.
Especially in today's
Especially
world,
in
like you
today's world,
mentioned.
yeah.
Right, and I think we also need to touch and explore the concept of the reels, because they usually are 1-minute reels in their collection of different photos, clapped together, glued together, and then you produce a reel,
Yes.
right? And this particular format was popularized by the TikTok, but now every other platform
Every
has it,
platform
right?
has it,
Instagram
yes.
has it, Facebook has it. I don't know about the Twitter. But Masooma, now let's touch upon the reels, and let's also talk about how do you see the scope of photography, particularly in Pakistan? And do you think that this is a field that requires passion more, and you can self-learn it at your own home? So, what is it?
Again, out of my own experience, the self-learning is very important. I did myself when I was, investing in my own business and everything. So, as I discussed that a lot of students, I haven't touched only one genre, but different genres,
Right.
because I knew that there are different sets of minds are coming in my class when I teach. So when I don't know what will be the lighting of a fashion industry, or a wedding photography, I can't teach them. So I guess the making up your homework and developing that understanding in your mind that you have to be perfect whatever you're teaching to a student, that will give them good feedback and good evaluation of yourself
And
towards
also
the audience.
Also, Masooma, do you think photography, as we know, it has evolved from the manual or the auto
Yes.
age to now the digital age? But then a few decades back, people had to wait for their
Yes.
pictures to develop. They had
Yes.
to have more and more patience. Okay, it will take a certain amount of time for the pictures to develop. I remember we used to wait. We used to take family
carbon copy,
pictures.
Yes.
remember the black sort
The
of
black sort of
the
negatives.
The
negatives,
negatives
yes,
and then
yeah.
the positives. Yes, we used to wait and enjoy those pictures. But now you can take a picture, flash, and you can see, right?
Yes.
So it definitely has become easier. Do you think the quality has been compromised, or has it become better as far as the photographic angles are concerned, and as far as capturing the depth is concerned?
I think when we talk about digitization, I guess that the quality has been improved. But if we talk about social media, they have compressed it in a
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way. So yeah, you need to pay them, and you need to get the higher quality, and then you can post your pictures. Subscribing is one of the factor of becoming again towards this social media. So yeah, these challenges are there to give your 100% to these social media and getting out of it.
And also, like Hajra was mentioning reels, something really important, something really interesting here, because our producer here also had one question, right? That, okay, these days people are not, perhaps I may be wrong here, that they're not interested in still pictures, they're more interested in a movement or collages, or perhaps a little short video perhaps, and maybe the stress these days and on the angles of the videography more than photography. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree, because all of them are going after the followers, the likes and
Right.
everything. So that's why they want to give their best. Even sometimes I do, because I just want my video to get viral, and I know the time span is like 30 seconds,
True.
and a lot of videos coming up and promoting my own self. So grabbing that thing and producing
in that market
exactly
is
competing.
very difficult.
You know, that
nowadays.
reminds me that, there's a certain singer I would not like to name, but, well, he's not a singer, and people really, really like him just to perhaps abuse him or to make fun of him. They post him the audio background music, right? I can never sing that man, right? No matter how much people force me to, I can never sing that
And
man.
I think that is why I say that social media has degraded the
Yes.
quality of the content a lot. So with that, we will say thank you to Masuma for coming
welcome.
here, for having this conversation and the
It
cross-pollination
has been a
of
pleasure,
the
yes.
ideas on
Same
the
here.
photography, on the still pictures, and the concept of the real instant gratification and whatnot. And with that, we are bidding you farewell. Until next time, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good
And
morning.
good morning.